Hey, this is Kathleen with the Game of Life, because when you see life as a game, you can take control and start leveling up and having fun doing that. And that creates a new baseline of frequency of courage, empowerment, and fun, joy. So today we're going to go over solutions part 3 and courts. What do you say? So let's have a little fun and see. This is not legal advice nor opinion, as I am not an attorney. I have worked with some of the best attorneys globally in negotiations when I was a contract specialist. Entering the court. When you're going to enter the court, I say avoid court at all costs. When you do have to go to court for whatever reason, then just be mindful and be set emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Get that Bible out, read it, ground yourself, get some foundation. But breathing, a nice slow breath in, pause, and out slowly. That's going to help to align your internal systems and calm you so that you can come from a place of sending more messages up to hear your intuition, to kick it in. So breathing and setting your intentions. I am living and standing in my truth. Remember that. Set your intentions. I am here in honor and integrity. I bring honor. I stand in honor. Have a cheat sheet, like of things that you want to say, that you don't want to forget, or responses. And stand outside if there is like a bar, floodgate is what they call it, with a bar on it. See, attorneys are on a sandbar because Admiralty Maritime, UCC, which is Universal Commercial Code, it is merchant law. It's all water. You're dead at sea, basically, and they think that you're a fictitious person. If you look up the definition of person, individual, citizen, resident, child, pair that rents, parent, all of those are fictitious entities. If you look up live birth and your state constitution or your province, wherever governs, then there's a definition called live birth. And that came from the WHO in 1950. It's a product extracted from the mother. You are a living, breathing soul. You are not a product extracted from your mother. It's almost comical that they've gotten away with it this long, that the bar and its monkeys have gotten away with it this long. So it's time to take back that power and let them know, yeah, no, that game, I'm not an artificial person. And the fact that you're even trying to make me an artificial person, I don't know, kind of shows your stupidity of your entire system that you took an oath to. But we want to come in equity and honor, and we want to teach them with a compassionate heart. So know that you're standing as a living soul. Now, if you're in family court, I know that when I was in court, there was no bar. There was tables, and I did not stand. I sat, and when the judge entered, I did not. And, the other party stood up. I did not. And I wasn't in contempt of court. I had made it clear I am a living woman, and she honored that. Oh, I want to point out, though, you want your life jacket if you're going to cross that bar. I mean, seriously, just take a life jacket with you because it's as comical as it gets. And we want that higher vibration. We want to make this fun, not scary. Remember, fear is false evidence appears real. False evidence appears real. Have faith over fear. So when a bailiff, a judge, or a clerk asks you to approach, you can stand and say, or you can sit, I, Kathleen, Patricia Ramsey, or family of Ramsey, woman sui juris in private capacity as a living soul, and make this presentment for the record. If you're asked to fill out a form, I don't do forms. I redo forms. And they're wanting you to, who are you? And they'll say, are you Kathleen Ramsey? No, I'm not Kathleen Ramsey. I'm not a product extracted from my mother. I'm not the definition of person, artificial intelligence. Look at my presentments, and you will see clearly that I don't accept word trickery. I do not accept word trickery. I find that as an intentional trespass on property of I by way of harm, loss, extortion. Let the record reflect that. Does the record reflect that? You can always ask. I love to ask questions. When you're asking, you are king. So you want to ask king. So if they do say that, you can say, for the record, I am present, woman, living soul. I do not consent to the use of an all caps name. Product extracted from the mother is defined in the state constitution under live birth, nor as an artificial person, citizen, individual, or other title as my identity in this matter. I invoke, declare, and claim any and all rights. I like to do 3. They like 3, so I like to play the game of 3. I invoke, declare, claim. Any order does not matter. And I like to add any and all rights, any and all. And you'll notice I'm not reserving any rights. I still don't get why people want to freaking reserve their rights. That's the biggest legalese misconception that I think comes around. Why would you reserve them? Why would you put them on a table over there? What if you can't get to them in time? Just invoke them, claim them, declare them, have them with you. You learn to always have your rights. You see, the state, the government, the corporations, the corporations, they give you privileges and benefits and take your rights. Say, no, I'm not playing that game. You keep your privileges and benefits. I'm going to keep my rights. Know that. At the council entry well, the court invites you to cross the bar. Okay, so you may remain standing or sitting. I sat where you are and speak clearly and respectfully. Always, you are a friend of the court. You are a friend to all. I have friends everywhere. Some of you might be able to catch that on from a Star Wars. But I have friends everywhere. I am a friend of court and I am a friend to all. Do not be belligerent, combative. Don't be arrogant or egotistical. I see videos of people just like the judge knows and the bailiff knows and everybody knows what they know and that they're all deceiving them. Okay, look, we're teaching here and we want to come with a compassionate heart. That's honor. That's bringing equity, honor, divine law, natural law, ecclesiastical principles and law. So we are teaching. When we're teaching, we can take back control. We can take the offense off. Don't be mad at them. We've all been duped. They were duped. They paid a lot of money to go to law school, and only to find out they're protecting a lie, a huge lie. I mean, So have a little compassion. You can say, with all due respect. I like to say, with all due respect, because I'm a friend to all. With all due respect, I do not wish, because as a king wishes, I do not wish to cross the bar. And I ask, is that reserved for agents and members of the bar and for formal commercial appearances? Is it? I'm just asking. I also like to ask, which I don't have in here, with all due respect, Your Honor, can you hear me okay? And then when she says, or he says yes, say great, because I know I'm living and I can only hear living. I don't summons the dead. So therefore you must be living as well. Is that correct? Okay. It's just some fun that you can have. I am present, living, breathing flesh and blood. I love to say I am living, breathing flesh and blood. Can't really argue that, because if you wanted to, you could prick your finger and bleed and you can breathe. And so your flesh is kind of self-evident and you're living because you're present. So it's kind of hard to get around that. And you're like, so how am I a product? Are products alive? How am I an entity? Look up and you can say, did you take an oath to the definitions of person and individual? Are you aware of them? Can you quote them right now? Can you give me what those are? And how, in what kind of world? It seems nonsensical to me that you would even consider that I'm a person, a live birth product. I mean, just, it's like, how, like, I have a hard time now that I know what I know. I have a hard time comprehending how all the judges and attorneys just went along with this. How do they not know this? The definitions are simple. It's not ambiguous. But legal ease is the undoing of God's law, and we know that. Maybe they're very programmed in it. So it is, you can also say, it is my wish for agent acting as court. I like to say agent acting as court because the agent is a living soul at all times. A judge is always living. They're breathing. If they're sitting there and they're talking and they're speaking and they're breathing, and if you prick their finger, they would bleed, right? They were always living. But sometimes they put on a different hat, right? So they're an agent acting as the court. And so you can say, my wish is for agent acting as the court to respect standing of I and allow presentments from here, from where I am, because I am I. If that helps. And then if agent with the title of court requires living testimony of I and to state position, I shall do so from where I stand or sit and ask. This is just another way to say it. And remember, it's on the record. Why? Because we're recording it. We're going to take the cord and we're going to record it into a different plug. That plug is of the land of the living. That plug is called equity or chancery court, depending on what state or province or location you're in, chancery and equity. And so you're going to record it. They're trying to take your record and put it into the Babylonian matrix. You're going to say, no, I know that game. I'm not playing basketball. Thanks for that court offer. Well, I'm here to play volleyball. Okay. I'm going to be in divine law, ecclesiastical, natural law. Doesn't that just flow nicer? Yeah. And if you saw part 2, I did break those down. So if the judge insists or orders you to cross the bar, with all due respect, you can say your honor if you want, with all due respect, I ask the agent acting as court to state its legal basis for requiring I, a living soul, to cross a bar and to place that basis on the record. Absent such lawful authority on the record, I respectfully wish to stay on land and not to cross. See, it's just kind. You're not being mean. You're not saying, You're not, it's just being nice. Like, yeah, like they're going to challenge you 3 times. Are you Miss Ramsey? No, I can't be Miss Ramsey. Are you freaking kidding me? I'm not a piece of paper. I'm not filed in a cabinet. Do you not see me? Can you hear me? I'm living. You may have forgotten that you're living. I have not, and I'm here to help you remember. So if a judge, I asked the woman acting as court, can you hear me? I just said that. So I went over that one. I jump ahead sometimes. Another way is if asked for the name for identification. I, a woman, Kathleen, living soul, breathing flesh and blood. I ask, are you giving me an order? So when the cop pulled me over, a very angry cop, because I didn't register my plates, and I couldn't ask questions here. I'm going to pull you out of the car. Very angry man, very angry. I'm like, so you're so angry because I asked some questions. Yeah, that doesn't even, he needs anger management, maybe. I'm just saying maybe. So I pray for him, right? I sent him, I was breathing. So he asked me if I was a sovereign citizen. I want everyone here to stop and pause. Are you, and can you ever be a sovereign citizen? No, you can't be living and dead at the same time. And the default for the matrix of the Babylonian system is going to be that you're a dead, soulless entity, an entity, a fictitious, artificial person. Natural person defaults to person, which is an entity. Sovereign citizen defaults to the entity as well. So just know your default, if you have person in there, is going to be an entity. You don't want, and human is subject to Roman Pentoff, if I say that correctly. And so you're not human. You're a woman, a man, living, mankind, because man is kind. It's hidden in the word. So are you asking me if I'm an artificial person, a product extracted from my mother? Did you take an oath to the Constitution? Yes. Great. So you know, in Illinois, for example, it's 410 ILCS 535/12. Live birth definitions of the product extracted from the mother. That's an abbreviation of the definition. And so you can say, are you aware that do I look like a product, or does my car look like a product? Does my phone look like a product? Right? I obviously am living and breathing, and I don't know what kind of messed up oath you took to all this artificial stuff, but I am obviously not that. Are you asking if I'm an authorized representative for the name? Well, that has a hold harmless, right? Because am I doing anything to harm another? Am I truly out of honor? Did I injure somebody other than not pay the state for my registration on my plates? Is that really harm, or is it an injustice by the system? I'm just asking. So you can just, ask for clarification. And are you as an agent aware of the definitions of person, place, person, individual, live birth? You can ask them that. I do charge for orders, and I told that cop, that angry cop, is this an order? Yes, it's an order. He was not in a very good mood. And it was 8 a.m. I don't know what had happened. Maybe he'd been working all night. And I said, I do charge for orders. I don't care what you do. I'm like, great. So you agree to $1,000 a minute? He said, I don't care. Just give me your driver's license. I chose to give him my driver's license. And I said, I'd do so as I was recording him under duress. And what else did I say? Under duress and coercion. That's what I said. And I do so under duress and coercion, and it's on the record. You don't have to be filming. I'm filming, is what the cop said. That's great. So in case something happens to yours, which something did, I've got backup. So you always want to have your backup, because sometimes for some odd reason, like this incident, there's 2 cops and neither one's video was working or sound. Amazing, isn't it? Just a coincidence. So if ordered to give the ID under duress or coercion, I just said that. I do charge $1,000 a minute. I just said that. I'm jumping ahead. I do not concede to corporate, all caps, fiction. I am not the name. I request that any record distinguish between the living soul personam and the commercial style name. And keep it short. You don't want to say a lot, because I will tell you, it's not anything can and will be used against you. Really what they mean is everything will be used against you. 100%, 110%. It will be twisted, manipulated, and changed to be used against you. That's why we want to ask questions. So always ask questions. Oath. No. I do not take an oath. I take an acknowledgement. So when I do a statement of truth or something like that, the Bible warns us about taking an oath. So I give acknowledgement. I do like to reiterate that invoking any and all rights, claiming sovereignty on the record. Does the record reflect? You can say, let the record reflect. Or does the record reflect that I claim, invoke, and declare any and all rights? I stand in jurisdiction of divine law. You tell them your jurisdiction. You don't tell them. They're sitting there going, hey, we're going to get her in statutory jurisdiction because she doesn't know, or he. And so you just go ahead and tell them what jurisdiction you are. You let them tell you you're not. And then let them show you how you're a person, an entity, an artificial thing that's owned by the state, a ward of the state, an infant child mindset. Let them show you that, and do so with a compassionate heart. And so I stand in jurisdiction of divine. And when you do this, you do it with such authority. There's such a vibration frequency that comes out of you. it did me. I stand in jurisdiction of divine law, ecclesiastical law, natural law. Sometimes I say the laws of nature, nature's God, and in equity. And I do not waive any rights, nor do I delegate any rights. Why delegate is because you don't ever want to delegate your rights. They delegate your rights. They are delegating your rights. They're taking your rights. You walk in and they're like, okay, we've got our rights. It's as if it's a smorgasbord for them. They're like, oh, look at all the people whose rights we're taking today. It's kind of parasitic system. Anyway, by being present, let the record reflect. This is another thing you can say. By being present, because you are present, you are there. Let the record reflect. I stand in equity of living soul, woman, breathing flesh and blood. I just love saying that. Say it over and over so it just rolls off of your tongue. Okay, when addressing word trickery, so I put that in like my affidavits, I put it in some of my motions. I do consider word trickery. So let the record reflect, or does the record reflect? I rebut, reject, forbid. I do revoke. I say I revoke, I rebuke, I rescind, and I reject. So I don't have that on here. I revoke, rebuke, rescind, reject, forbid, and terminate. The use of any word trickery language in legalese designed to convert living souls into commercial fictions. I consider this action intention to trespass on property of I by way of harm, loss, extortion, and or unlawful detainment. I added some words in there, so you might want to, these are just to help. These are just for helpful. Examples use the word person to imply a corporate fiction and say, can you give me the definition of person and how that applies to I, a living soul? If they say individual, then do you know the definition of individual, Your Honor? Yeah, look those up before you go. The use of the all caps name is to create an entity separate from the living soul. If you take my class, I do explain this. I'll give you a 101 just in case most of us, I shouldn't say most of us, a lot of people who would be watching this type of video already know. I explain it in a little bit different way. When little baby, you do the whole birth canal of a ship and birth canal of the mom. It doesn't matter how it's spelled. It's the sound of the word. So they both go through the birth canal, and then one pulls up to a dock. The other pulls up to a dock with an oar, dock door. And then they produce the cargo, and they manifest the cargo, and they put that on a certificate. On the living soul side, they take that certificate. What they're doing is they capture the soul plate, the foot, the soul, the footprint, the soul, doesn't matter how it's spelled, in the air. So they're trying to capture the essence of the being of the little baby boo-boo living soul. And they get the soul plate, and then they prick the heel so you can't heal. And HEEL, they prick the heel, and then that blood matches the record, the record. So what they did is they severed the cord from mommy, and then they recorded it into the Babylonian matrix. It's such a game. Is it not such a game? And isn't it more fun when you think of it as a game? It's really beautiful when you can think of it like that, and it takes the anger away and makes you more of a friend to all. Phrases, I don't like to use phrases without prejudice. I invoke my rights. I don't reserve them. I ask the court to identify plainly the legal authority and statutory basis relied upon, rather than relying on presumption or wordplay. And you could say lawful instead of legal authority. The lawful divine law, ecclesiastical law, which is for the land of the living. And I do invoke equity, and I bring equity, and I command equity from you, agent. If counsel or judge tries to compel you And compelling is spell casting, right? Words are spells. So they're trying to cast different spells on you. They're very good at the spells. They went to law school after all. And so they're very good at spell casting. I don't even know if they are aware of the spell cast. I think they might be under a spell. Probably, right? Until they can start seeing through it, until they can start waking up. So we're helping them. We're teaching them. If they try to compel you or treat you as an agent or a person, individual like birth, with all due respect, I do not consent to being treated as an agent, surety. That's a really good one to add. Surety or corporate person. I stand, as I have said before, as a living soul, a woman. I request that the agent acting as the court to note my objection and state its basis for continuing. Absent proof of lawful jurisdiction over I, a living soul, I request a continuance so that jurisdictional issues can be addressed. They can't get you in statutory if you are consistent. So I'm repeating because you want to repeat. They will say it in different ways. When I went to the court one time, the attorney was so frustrated. Do you want to see a judge? And I was like, yeah, maybe she'll have some common sense because you are lacking it. I think she was just freshly out of law school, and she wanted me to go by the book. I don't go by books unless it's the Bible. So the judge says, are you Kathleen Ramsey? And I said, with all due respect, Your Honor, I am not an entity, an artificial person, or a live birth product as defined in Illinois State Constitution 410 ILCS 535/12. And she said, oh, yes, I see. I said, and she goes, so Miss Ramsey. And I said, with all due respect, that's twice. And again, I am of my creator, God, who gives me rights. I invoke, declaim, and declare all rights at all times. I waive none, and I delegate none. Do you understand? And she said, I am of my creator as well. The case was dismissed, and I didn't have to sign anything. That's for another. But know your standing and be kind. Remember, you're a friend to all. If asked to speak to the judge privately or step over the bar, will the record reflect that this communication be on record? Does the record reflect private off the record conferences? Because I command open court of record. I'm going to be on the record. Closing, if the court attempts to remove you or punish you, they shouldn't, because if you are being kind and in honor, you're going to have them more flustered than you. And so that shouldn't happen. But I wish the record to reflect that I stand as truth as a woman, living soul status. I do not engage in coercive procedures which require to cross a commercial threshold reserved for agents and bar members. And you can also say, does the record reflect that I invoke, claim, declare any and all rights, waiving none ever and delegating none. I claim any and all rights and remedies and require this to be placed on record. Just different ways to say it. Same thing, different ways. Just get used to saying it. I respectfully, if they say you're in contempt of court, they didn't for me ever. So if they do say contempt of court, I respectfully request the agent acting as court to explain on the record the statutory basis, the lawful basis for contempt in this matter. I ask for time to consult counsel or to produce, a written, wait a minute. Sorry, I hit that button. I need to go this way. Sorry about that. To produce a written presentment addressing the court's stated basis. You want them to prove jurisdiction. The judge in mine on transcripts, I asked her repeatedly about jurisdiction, and she said, I have it, move on. And then I went back to jurisdiction, and she was like, I have jurisdiction. And I'm not gonna argue this anymore. I don't argue. With all due respect, Your Honor, I don't argue. I don't bring controversy. I'm here because I'm a friend to all. If they ask you if you reside in your body, they're not going to ask you that. They're going to say, where do you live? And you're going to say, I live in my body. Where my body is, I live. This is accurate. I'm not living in a home with an address unless my body happens to be in that home at the address. But right then, if I'm in court, I am alive and present at that address. So if they say, where do you live? Well, I don't know what you're not seeing. You know, is your eyesight okay? You don't want to say that, but you want to think that maybe. Is your eyesight okay? Because I'm actually alive here. And if they say, which the attorney did, you know what I mean. I was like, I know what you mean. You obviously don't know what you're asking. Right? Be nice. Counsel, by the way, is not an attorney. You can look that up in the amendment. I don't have it off the top of my head, and I should. And I should have put it here. Counsel. We are allowed to have counsel. You don't have to be an attorney, my friend, and you don't have to have a law degree. You can give counsel to others. A short script, again, is I asked, does the record reflect? I think we've gone over all this. And I asked, this is just kind of a recap. I asked the agent acting as court to give this and state with evidence, jurisdiction, basis of living on the record. Can this evidence be provided this day? Can you provide evidence this day of your jurisdiction, your subject matter jurisdiction of I, and your personam jurisdiction? Those are the two jurisdictions you want them to show or give evidence. Mine could not. In my documents, my private agreement states subject matter is chancery, and it was ignored. I have jurisdiction, just move on. She did not have jurisdiction. I asked, does the record reflect all communications and rulings be on the record, not off the record conferences? I invoke and claim and declare any and all rights, giving up none and delegating none. I claim all rights, remedies, and restitution. Some of the tricks is that they'll use is capitalization of the all caps name. That's not you. That's think of your all caps name as a business. Think of it as a business. And on your check, you can, when you sign your check, go ahead, blow that up, take a picture of it, blow it up. It tells you that you're an authorized representative. So you're an authorized representative. That name is literally owned by the Department of Vital Statistics if you're in Illinois, and that's owned by the state. So you want to know that you are an authorized representative. You are not that person. You can't be. And so have them show that. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous when you start learning this, that it's gone on this long, and that so many are playing this game, this fictitious game, and it's all to have control. I think it's truly to help us wake up and level up in Christ consciousness, to rise up in Christ consciousness, to rise up to courage. The system society did such a good job of pounding us down, of limiting us, of, worthiness and blaming and shaming. We blame ourselves, we blame others, and that's such a low vibration, and that's where control is. But without being there, then how do we rise up in consciousness? And that's the fun part of the game, right? Is learning and breaking that spell and rising up. So person and individual, that's commercial. You don't want to be that. Procedural phrase tricks is without prejudice. Reserving, don't reserve your rights. Just carry them with you at all times. Don't miss our understanding. I don't stand under any other. I comprehend, but I don't understand. So it's different things like that. Your demeanor, speak slowly. Not easy for me. Speak slowly and distinctly. Short sentences, no sermon. They do not want a book. I know, especially in family court, you're going to go in there and poor little me, woe is me. And you're identifying with this. I have been a victim. I am mistreated, this and that. What did I say before? Not can and will be used against you. Everything you say will be used against you. When you go in like that, you're not coming as a woman or man in honor. You are literally saying, I'm a ward, poor little me, I'm a ward of the state. I need someone to speak for me. I need someone to take care of me. I need someone to control my everything. And they will. So no sermon, no long speeches. Remember, I am a woman standing before you. Where's your jurisdiction? You want to switch this to equity or chancery. I personally like chancery, but there's only a few states in the United States that has that. Mississippi is one. Also ask, does the record reflect? Remember to have that. Like those are little code notes that you want. And request clarification. When a judge says anything, they are getting you to assume and presume. Remember, the default is always soulless. It's the entity. You're not an entity. You're a living soul, and you are worthy of so much. So much. Don't ever think otherwise. So if you kind of get some hostility, frustration, the other attorney in my case kept saying argue. And I was like, I even said to the judge on transcripts, she keeps saying argue. For the record, I do not argue. It was like, man, she's very angry. Not a good state to be in, right? Gosh, maybe you need to go do some meditation, some breathing. I don't know. Maybe you need a massage, chill out a little bit. Anyway, just be calm. Breathe. You're a friend to all. Keep a single statement or declaration of living status. I do have a declaration of living status or certificate of living status and a statement. Never insult. And final is this script is just rehearsal. It is not legal advice. It's just for fun to play a game like on a court if you want, and you have the right, court rules. This is just one thing to play with. So this, if it's a real matter, I would maybe seek counsel. I'm not going to say if that counsel is an attorney or a lawyer. Use your own discretion. Faith requires action, and that's what makes solutions, and it crumbles the wall of corruption of legal ease. I hope that you'll like and share and walk on water of maritime legal. And together, let's put an end to this overreaching BS. Till next time, roll the dice, play the game of life, and have some fun. Thank you so much.